Good day. Welcome to Finance 311 Summer 2017. Each week for the next 6 weeks, I'll prepare a video that'll be available to you on Monday, which will outline what are we doing that week and what the requirements are. The first thing we're going to do today, which is week one, is I will give you an introduction to myself. Many of you I know, others I don't, so I'm looking forward to working with everyone and meeting new people. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to review the syllabus. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Canvas. Now, Canvas is a new system that we are migrating from my courses to Canvas. So I'm trying to learn, so please bear with me as I try to adapt to a new system. And I think from what I've seen, it's pretty straightforward. So you might need to take a little bit more time to walk through things. Then what we're going to cover is the next steps. What do you need to do after you're done with this video? Brief introduction to myself. My undergraduate work is from SUNY Fredonia in business. I'm a certified public accountant. I'm a graduate of the Outward Bound Leadership Program. I'm an Earthwatch Fellow, and I'm a graduate of RIT, and I have my advanced degree in leadership and innovation. Professionally, I've had a broad career over the past 40 years. I practiced public accounting with a focus on small business. I worked for HSBC for most of my career, where I started in accounting policies, did financial analysis and planning. I did problem solving. I was involved in cultural change. I ran the Quality Training Institute for the bank. My last responsibilities was I'm a senior vice president, district executive, responsible for personal and small business lines in the Rochester area, responsive for our branch network in the area. I was also executive director of the South Wedge Planning Committee, where worked on housing, business and economic development, and then community development. And lastly, I started part-time here at SUNY Geneseo in 2007. And in 2011, I became a full-time faculty member. I teach organizational behavior, various finance courses, and I'm also director of the School of Business Intern Program. And that's where I coach and work with students who are looking for careers and internships. And again, many of you, we've already had some discussions around these topics. The other thing I do is I continue to be a consultant advisor for profit and for nonprofit organizations on strategic thinking in asset management. So that's a little of my professional background. From a community perspective, I'm chair of Delphi Drug and Alcohol Council, where we do prevention, we do counseling, we do outpatient treatment, we run a domestic violent program, we do mental health first aid, we work in the schools and with clients and in the community. We also have a reentry program. When people leave prison, we help them make a transition to a productive life and not have to go back to prison. I'm treasurer of St. Peter's Kitchen, which is a food kitchen that we serve about 150 people a day, and we're developing new ways to meet people's needs, not just feed them, but how can we help make them long-term more self-sufficient. A lot of the people that visit with us and have lunch are the working poor, those people who have jobs, but they're just simply not making enough to eat. We have every age from infants to very elderly coming on a daily basis. We also have a community garden, and we're working, how can we help people and make their lives better? I'm also involved in the West Side Farmers Market, which is on Tuesday nights from 4 to 7, and if you're in the Rochester area, I encourage you to stop by. I'm also a member of St. Monica's Church, where I chair strategic planning in our buildings and grounds. I'm also involved with the Business Association of the South Wedge area. So now let's stop and review the syllabus. And if you go to the home page on Canvas, you'll find it. So let's take a stop and do that. On the link. And my name, again, is Robert Boyd. Feel free to email me, text me, ring, Office hours are by appointment. We can do it virtually or in person. This class is designed to provide you introduction to financial management principles and techniques. We're going to teach them within the context of the current economic and business environment. This is going to help you understand how do you apply these concepts in the real world. We're going to look at the role that financial management plays in the firm and how it relates to the broader business picture. Understanding finance, managerial finance, is critical no matter what role you have in an organization. Even if you are not in the accounting or finance area, you need to have an understanding because there's a lot of different things. There's budgets, there's profit reports, there's profitability, there's goals, and a lot of that in business today is set around financial metrics, financial numbers. So it's important to you. I think you're also going to find that some of what we talk about is going to help you in your personal finances as you go forward. And I encourage you to think there's many roles. When you say finance, that's sort of right now, there's a very broad topic, but there's hundreds of different types of jobs in finance. We're going to take a little look at some of them, and we'll go from there. One of the things that the School of Business, the mission, is that you acquire strong quantitative, analytical, and communication skills. Our focus is on quantitative and analytical skills. Yes, you're going to have to communicate. I'm going to have to communicate better because we're not in person. We're going to have to do this virtually. So the work you're doing, you're going to have to figure out how to effectively communicate when we're not together physically. And what I've done here is these are the program goals. And what I've done is when we're done with the course, what should you be able to do? Okay, so successful students, I'm using the word successful here, will demonstrate the ability to know the roles of financial management in the firm. How do they relate to the broader picture? And that you should be able to describe the key activities of the manager. Understand the financial markets. How do they impact how business runs and how can they benefit you? One of the most important things any business has is cash. A company's ability to be successful over time has to do with cash flow. Management of cash, also referred to as working capital, is absolutely critical. We're going to take a look at the basic components of a firm's financial statements and how do we analyze them and for what purpose do we do this. And I think this is where you've had exposure to financial accounting and managerial accounting. Now we're sort of going to take them and we're going to put them together and look at what can we learn from that. How does a business use that information? We're going to take a look at financial ratio analysis based on the company's financial statements. We're going to take a look at the time value of money, not just how to calculate it, but how to use it in financial decision making. We're going to take a look at interest rates. What are the fundamentals? What's the relationship between risk and reward? How does pricing play into that? We're going to take a look at basic risk, return, and risk measurement techniques and applications. Understand financial planning and forecasting. Understanding capital budgeting. You're going to have to use Excel to build models and solve problems related to the above. So we really, if you think about this, we got a lot to cover in 6 weeks. But your attention to it and focus will do well. This is a required course, as you know, prereqs you should all have. What we're going to do is we do have a text, and the text is listed here. And you can buy it by the chapter, whatever you want to do. Okay, you do not need to buy the whole book. You can buy content, whatever you want to do, but there's a shop with everything you need to do on that. How are we going to deliver the course? One, it's obviously online. Everything will be on Canvas. And we'll organize the material by modules. And we'll run one module a week. And the concepts are going to be delivered based on a basic 4-step process. A lecture on the concept. First week you have more lecture than anything else. Then we're going to apply what the concept is to a small case study company. This is one that I made up. So I'm going to walk you through, okay, here's the concept. I'm going to walk you through, here's how you apply it to a simple company, and then I'm going to apply it to a real company. Then you're going to do an application project of the concepts to a real company. You're going to be assigned a company. You'll find in Module 1 a list of those the companies and what you're assigned to. And then you will do it. So it's that 4-step process. So a tell, show, and then you do. And I found that works fairly well with most folks. One-on-one discussion, we can have a virtual meeting, we can email, on the phone, in person, whatever works for you. But it's really our ability to interact that is going to help you learn and apply the materials that we have. I've tried to keep the actual structure of evaluation fairly straightforward. There's going to be 4 weekly projects, 4 application projects, each one worth 10 points. So that's 40. Midterm exam is 30 and a final is 30. When it comes to the exams, obviously you're going to be taking them online. But the questions are going to be more application as opposed to memorization. The key is really, are you learning the concepts and are you able to apply them and interpret what they're saying? So that becomes important. Letter grades come out. This is the metric. Academic integrity. Do your own work. This is not a group project. So that becomes important. If you have any need for accommodations, because we do make reasonable accommodations for people with documented physical, emotional, or learning disabilities, you could check with the director in the Office of Disability Services and just let me know as soon as possible if that is. There's a few dates that are key. First day of class is today. Application Project 1 will be due May 30th, 2017. And these are all at the end of the day. The midterm exam will be June 6th. The application project will also be due on June 6th. Application Project 4 will be due on June 3rd, and the final exam will be on June 23rd. What we're going to cover in Module 1 is the economic background, financial markets, purpose and organization of the firm, the role of finance. But I've actually moved up the discussion on cash flow a little bit there. We're going to talk about financial statements, working capital, free cash flow, and start application project 1. Then we move into financial statement analysis, how to look at financial statements. What do they tell us? What can we learn from it? Financial ratios, we'll learn how to compute it, but most importantly, how do we interpret it? We're going to take a look at interest rates, risk, reward. How do interest rates impact the firm? The 5 C's of credit. We'll take a little look at fixed income instruments and how to value them. This is where the present value and the cash, the future value of cash, present value of cash, time value of money comes in. Then we're going to look at financial markets and equities in a little more deeper basis. We're going to look at capital structure. What is capital? Computation. How do we look at capital structure? And that brings us into project 4. Then we're going to wrap it up. We get the last 2, planning. What is planning? What's strategic planning? What's tactical planning? What's capital planning? What's risk? Okay. How does a firm manage risk? Every firm has risk. And then how do you manage risk with options? So that's essentially what we're going to be covering this summer. We're doing 15 weeks of work in 6 weeks. So each week will have more work than a normal week. So I encourage you to plan accordingly. You'll know what we're doing for this semester. At the beginning of each week, I'll lay out what needs to be done, and then plan your week accordingly. Okay? And I think that's an important thing to realize that. But I think it's going to be compact. We're not going to give you the skinny down version, and hopefully you're really going to be able to learn because you're going to be able to go at your own pace. So you really have a week to do the work, and once you get into the swing of it, you'll be able to know what works for your timetable and everything else. What are the next steps? Well, a couple of mechanical things to start with. One, when you're in Canvas, you will find that there is a discussion folder that has your name on it. Okay, so the first thing I'd like you to do is go to the discussion folder, with your name and upload a picture so that we can get to know each other better. Because right now it's just blank with your name there. The second thing that I'd like you to do is create a post that tells me a little bit about yourself. Include where you are now, what are your plans for the summer, and then conclude with what area of business are you interested in. So that's the first step. You go to your discussion folder, upload a picture, and then create a post, respond to mine, and tell me a little bit about yourself, where you are now and what your plans are for the summer. Then conclude what area of business you are in. Then the next thing you need to do is to move on to Module 1. There are videos and supporting notes and additional reading material. So what we're going to cover this week is more lecture. You do not have a graded assignment this week. They start next week, as I said. You're going to do the economic overview. What's going on in the world? What are the financial markets? What's the purpose of an organization? And what's the role of finance? Then we're going to look at some basic concepts of finance. And then we're going to jump right in for cash flow part 1. So we got a lot of videos for you to watch. And with that, if you have any questions, please let me know. Everything is out there. And hopefully we'll have everything for week 2 out earlier for you to get into based on your pace. If you have any questions, please let me know.